Greetings, this is Sunday and just approaching noon my time. Happy July 4th to our friends and relatives in Washington State, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, and Point South. I'm going to take a quick zip around the province. Not a lot of change out there. Most of the change I'm seeing is south of the Sparks Lake fire, where there's an extension. And one of the issues today is smoke cover. This is the area to the northeast of Logan Lake. It's very difficult to see in satellite imagery, and hopefully the IFR is accurate, but again, check with BC Wildfire, check with your regional district to find out where evacuation orders and alerts are in effect. Links are in the description below. And I also want to take a quick look. There's been a lot of coverage on these wildfires in BC around the world, especially with the tragedy at Lytton. I picked up this in the Daily Mail. They're talking about a cumulopyroclastic cloud that occurred. I'm not sure of this location. I believe it might be the Sparks Lake fire, because when we look at the satellite imagery from NOAA, we can see a buildup of the two areas at Pavilion and Sparks Lake, and then the formation of the cloud and lightning in there. So a lot of different phenomena, environmental effects going on at that time. Here we are today looking at some of that smoke coverage in that area, and we can see there's still a lot in the low-lying areas. Looking at Cache Creek in the center, Kamloops over to the right of the screen, and then Pavilion to the left of the screen. It certainly doesn't look as dramatic from a satellite footage today, and that's attributable to the wildfire crews out there that have really beaten this down. And if we jump to a screen with just the infrared, we're looking at the Kamloops area that's in the center of the screen. On the left top corner is the Sparks Lake fire, and you can see that tongue coming down from the south. It's heading towards the direction of Highway 1. I believe that's now crossed below Sedge Creek. Also, we can see Logan Lake and the area to the northeast of that. There's that block on fire close to the Greenstone Mountain Park. I'm not seeing any new infrared around the Juniper Ridge area or Valley View east of Kamloops. I am seeing one spot still north of the highway, north of Pritchard, towards Chase. There's also one hotspot just north of Kamloops on the east side of the Highway North. Let's go southwest to the Lytton area, looking at infrared that was available yesterday and the most recent today. We see this band of infrared that's on the north side of the Thompson. It's up the hillside that's above Lasha. There's a cluster of infrared that's moving east north of the Thompson. We see three spots that have moved to the east of the George Road fire. In today's most recent imagery, we're seeing a lot more infrared hotspots in those areas, a few more hotspots to the east of the George Road fire, and a lot more clusters north of the Thompson. I'm also seeing a lot more hotspots that are up on the east side of the Fraser. They've gone a little further up Highway 12. I believe this area is still under evacuation order, so check it with DRIVEBC and go to the BC Wildfire website to look at their map and see where those evacuation orders are. We're going to go up north now to the Caribou into the Interlakes area. We can see the smoke flowing to the southeast. It's coming down from a northwestern breeze that's flowing about 11 kilometers an hour, but those wind patterns can change depending on the terrain and your location around the different lakes. But let's go back to that cumulopyroclastic cloud from a few days ago. Now we see the Sparks Lake fire just to the right of center, the Pavilion fire just to the left of center, and then we see that those dots and sparks. That's the cluster of lightning that went directly over the Interlakes area. And very possibly started a lot of those spot fires up there. Here we see it just on the infrared with the smoke flowing today. The fires to the southwest of Decca are about center of the screen, and then up at the top is the fires at Eagle Creek to the north of Canham Lake. This is an image of the area southwest of Decca Lake, north of Sheridan, north of Highway 24, and we can see a lot of random clusters. Then we can see what looks to be some controlled pattern signatures there. And when we move over to today's most recent infrared, we can see it's pretty much staying in the same position. I heard word that there could be some backburning going on there, and that may contribute to those controlled infrared that we see on the screen. If we move north, just to the south of Drury Lake, we can see there are clusters of infrared in some of those large forested blocks. This is to the east of Horse Lake. Then if we go a bit south, this is in a forested block to the north of Watch Lake, and to the northeast of Green Lake. We see several infrared indications there. We're looking at both the MODIS and the VWIRS systems in this image, so it's not all fire consuming one area. Those are two different systems picking up two different sets of data. And we can also see there's a spot to the north of Highway 24 and to the south of Horse Lake. People are calling in and reporting these spot fires, so check on the BC Wildfire website to see what approach and what they're doing in your area. Friends have been saying it's like an air show up there. The air crews, the water bombers are flying around, they're landing in lakes, they're picking up water, and they're dousing the flames on a lot of these. We've jumped back up to Eagle Creek, north of Canham Lake, and then we're looking over at Round Schoolhouse as well. And we're seeing all the systems enabled. If we take away everything but one system, we can see a more concentrated image of where hotspots are, where fire may be. Now we're just going to roll over to the most recent infrared data, and you can see that it kind of moved to the east. That can be the wind at play, or it can be the different orbital angle from a different satellite system. So the infrared is not precision, but it does give us an indication of where fire may be moving. But all in all, I'm not seeing a lot of change. I'm not seeing a lot of movement or drastic spread in one direction or another. It's staying pretty tight to the area it's been in over the last couple days. And if we just look to the south of Canham, we can see there's several hotspots there, and there could be some small movement to the southeast on those hotspots. We're now moving to the Sparks Lake fire and some of the most recent data. First, we'll look at yesterday. We can see that cluster on the southwestern flank of the fire. And again, looking at that southwestern flank, we see that tongue or extension that appears to go past Sedge Creek and is in a direction towards Highway 1 from the north. Here's the area around Sedge Creek from yesterday. And what we're seeing today is it's gone below that to the south. We're going to move to the east. This is the southeastern flank of that fire. We can see a lot of patterned infrared, and it's coming up right to the northwestern edge of the area around Red Lake. There are hotspots to the south of Sparks Creek, south of Sparks Lake, and there's some infrared that's going up towards Chris Creek on the east side of the Tranquil Chris Creek Road. If we go up to the northern flank of this fire, we can see it to the southwest of Vedette, up on the Bonaparte Plateau, and to the east of Young Lake. There's one hot spot there. If we zoom out, we can see Chris Creek in the lower left of the screen and Bonaparte to just right of center, and there's a clump of infrared and a forested block between those two locations. So it's between Chris Creek and Bonaparte Provincial Park. Now we're going to move further west. This is over to the fire at McKay Creek Pavilion, and we see some infrared on the eastern side of the Fraser. This is southwest of Kelly Lake, southwest of Clinton, and this is the first time I've actually seen this much of a cluster on that eastern side of the Fraser. I've heard some reports that it's very smoky in that area, so just to be aware if you're in the Kelly Lake area. Yesterday I wasn't seeing any infrared in that area, so there can be crews on site. They may be doing some controlled ignitions. I'm seeing a lot of patterning there, so there may be some controlled or planned ignitions going there. We're just going to move a bit further north up the Fraser. This is south of Gang Ranch, to the west of Big Bar and Canoe Creek. There is a cluster of infrared. It's on the western side of the Fraser. It has been growing over the last couple days. I can see some infrared that's coming up right next to the Fraser. It's hard to tell if it's actually jumped the river or not. There are prevailing winds coming from the northwest and potentially the west, so if you're in that area, be aware, check your terrain, check your access routes, and monitor the situation. We're now going to move north up into the northern Caribou. We're looking at a hotspot on the eastern side of Cheslada Lake. There's also one to the northwest of Nazco. These hotspots appear to have grown slightly in an eastern direction. However, overall in the northern part of the province, I'm not seeing a lot of change. Over by Tumbler Ridge, there appears to be a couple more hotspots there, growing in a block that's already been identified. But we're not seeing anything in the north that's to the same magnitude of the Sparks Lake fire, the fire at Pavilion, or the fire at Lytton. If we take a look at the satellite imagery for today, there's cloud cover, there's smoke, there's haze, so some of the infrared might be obscured. So you want to go to your regional district, go to BC Wildfire, and find out if there's fires in the area that we're not picking up on infrared. We'll do a quick jump to the southern half of the province. We can see a couple of hot spots to the east of Vernon and Kelowna, that's south of Cherryville. And then over at Fernie, we see a hot spot there. There's still one hot spot to the west of Kootenay Lake, south of Nelson. And I'm not seeing a lot of change there. It seems contained, no growth, no new hot spots, so that's a good sign. I know there was one just to the west of Castlegar that's now disappeared. I believe wildfire crews were able to nail that one right away. I'm just going to take a quick hop back to the area east of Kelowna, east of Vernon, south of Cherryville. There were 2 fires there indicated, but there is 2 hot spots further east. Now, on the screen I have today, those fires in what used to be called the 201 up on the Okanagan Plateau, those have disappeared, but I am still seeing those 2 hot spots to the east of Cherryville. So zooming back out to the area where we started this video, I call it the Golden Triangle. There's Cache Creek in the center, Kamloops over to the right hand side of the screen, Pavilion and Lillooet over towards left of center, and then Lytton in the lower portion of the screen, and the Interlakes area up towards the top of the screen. There's still a lot of smoke and haze. There are intermittent cloud cover. There's been thunderstorms rolling through midday. Basically, it's a very turbulent situation in the skies out there. I have a lot of respect for the air crews that are working in this and trying to navigate. So keep the lakes clear so they can come in, land, pick up water, and move on. And if we roll into a screen from Windy, we can see this turbulence. There's changing wind directions, changing wind speeds. In this image around Green Lake, it's rolling from 12 kilometers an hour from the northwest. A good friend of mine up in the Caribou says there was window rattling thunder that went through. Not a lot of lightning, but the wind direction is changing For this person, it's coming from the south, whereas Windy says it's coming from the northwest. So it depends on your situation, it depends on the terrain, it depends on the bodies of water and the temperature increase during the day. There can be gusts in the afternoon, they can get quite strong. So be wary, keep a lookout, stay in contact with friends and neighbors, and check out the links below. Get as much information as you can to make a plan and know what your access routes are. So be safe. Keep your nose to the breeze, and I'll leave you with this little bit of joy. We have a new member in our farm family.